What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Sci Fi Bookery. I'm Josh, and today we're going to do the hobby tag. I was tagged by the Grape Jelly Library, and I'll link her down below. It's a fun channel, so I think you will enjoy it. She does a lot of these tags too, which is cool. I like watching the booktubers that do the tags because you get to learn a little bit about them, but also it kind of connects everybody. It shows you what everyone has in common. So check out the Grape Jelly Library. This is a great one for me because I'm not a collector of things, I'm a collector of hobbies. So I have thousands of hobbies that I've picked up and dropped over the years and stuff that I hang on to, but nothing really seems long-term as much as reading. So I think that it's good to have a booktuber be doing this one because it just makes sense for me. Question number 1 on the hobby tag. Within your personal library, do you collect books based on specific author, editions, publishers, genres, things like that? Well, I think you guys know by now I collect mainly vintage sci-fi, but that's not all that I collect. I also collect anything by Arthur Conan Doyle, specifically Sherlock Holmes related, any kind of like different editions that maybe I don't have on these shelves here already. Anything like sometimes I collect his collected editions and things like that. Nothing crazy high value, just weird things that I find. I like to do that. I also like to collect early editions of classics. So like if it was written in the 40s, I like to collect anything from like the 40s up to 50s, 60s. Any vintage editions of classics, especially ones that have notes written in them. I find it to be like a little more personalized, and that's something I collect with comic books too. I collect comic books that people write their names on, or they like outline the characters or something. I just love that. It's more of like a personal effect sort of thing. So those are some of the types of things I collect in my personal library. Number 2, what are some non-bookish hobbies that you have? Where do I begin? Gardening, bonsai, houseplants. I have a completely separate channel for that called the Barefoot Bonsai that I'll link down below, but I'll also pop it up over here. I have lots of videos. I don't really keep up that much with that one. Just that's more like a spring and summer sort of channel because obviously right now it's like, what are you doing? I'm not really trimming houseplants and stuff, even though it's winter. So there's not really much to do there. But that's one of my main hobbies is gardening. And then also comic books. I have a comic book group on Facebook called Make Comic Book Collecting Fun Again. And I'll also link that down below if you guys are into comic books. Check that out. I write a lot. I have for a long time. That's another hobby that I have kept up for an extended period of time that I really like. I am a published writer. I've actually even written like articles in newspapers, magazines, kind of thing online, as well as a lot of nonfiction that I have published, poetry, some sci-fi stories, things like that. One of my hobbies that I think is a little weird for people that aren't in it is diecast racing. So racing Hot Wheels. I actually have another channel right here, Rust Belt Diecast Racing, that I'll also link down below. I tend to make channels and Facebook groups and Instagram accounts and stuff based on my hobbies, just so I can expand out into the community a little bit more. And that's what I ended up doing for my sci-fi books, because I knew there were people out there because I've watched YouTube videos on sci-fi reading, and so I put it out there, and here we are making a book tag about this hobby. All right, number 3 is, what are some hobbies you've fallen out of and why? Now, I had a lot to choose from, but I picked a couple that I was into for a longer period of time because it's more like dramatic when you drop a hobby after years of working on it. One of them is fishing rod building. I used to build my own fishing rods, build rods for other people too, lots of family and friends. I would build fishing rods for that, and it was something that I never knew that you could do. I've always just bought fishing rods. Fishing is, all right, throw that on as another hobby there. I've always bought fishing rods, but to find out that you could build them, and for me, like, I'm an artist, so like being able to be creative with my hands is really important. So that was another creative outlet that I could have, and it was fun to do too. But it is insanely time consuming. The materials are relatively expensive. So it was one of those ones where it just sort of fell away after a while. Another one is road biking. I had a really sweet vintage road bike, a Raleigh Technium that I restored to all original parts, and it was something that I had a huge passion for, was road biking. I did all of these charity rides. I used to do 100-mile rides just for fun, but that was something that I used to do that I really, really enjoyed, and just sort of dropped out of it because, again, it was one of those time-consuming things where, like, I had to be there. There was maintenance on the bike, and then the rides alone. I mean, you're talking hours of your time to go for a longer bike ride, and you can't just do a short bike ride. I'm not going to take a sweet vintage road bike just down this to the grocery store. Like, I gotta do some big rides with it. So it's time-consuming stuff, and it just kind of falls away once other things happen. Number 4, and this is a really quick tag here, so I like this one. There's only 5 questions on it. But number 4 is, do you regret dropping any of those hobbies? And I try not to have regrets. Everybody says that. I try not to have regrets, but I have tons of regrets. But one of the things that I don't regret is dropping hobbies, because it frees up time for more hobbies. And it's something like I can always go back to do that stuff. Like, I still have a lot of things. Like, actually right over here, I have some fishing rods in the corner. Some of them are like halfway built and things like that. Like, it's something I can always go back to. I still have my old bike in the garage. It's got a couple flats at this point, but whatever. It's something I can always go back to. So I don't regret dropping them. And even the ones that I've dropped and gotten rid of everything, I don't regret that at all. No. Number 5, what hobbies do you wish you had? Now, these are hobbies that I feel like I could get into at another time. One of them is playing a musical instrument. I just never had the talent for it, but I always wanted to play like the violin or a guitar or something like that. I don't have musical talent. So that's one of those hobbies that I would like to get into. Another one is like cars. I can work on cars, but it's not an enjoyable experience for me. And I always wanted it to be an enjoyable experience. Like, I want to be one of those car guys that's just like on the weekends tuning stuff up. And it's like, I find it just annoying to do an oil change or brake change on my car. It's just a pain. So I always kind of wanted to do that. Or like hot rod kind of stuff. Like, I feel like I understand engines well enough to be a little dangerous. Something that I would want to get into, but again, it's insanely expensive to get into that kind of stuff. A hobby that I wanted to get into that I actually did get into is collecting records. I have a record player now, and I kind of collect records. I actually have a YouTube channel that I started posting shorts on. I guess I'll pop it up, and there's not a lot on there right now, but I've been really enjoying the hobby, and that's one of those ones that I wanted to get into that I did. So like what I said was, like, are there any hobbies you wish you had? Well, they're just hobbies I haven't gotten into yet. That's basically it. And now to finish up, I'm going to tag a couple people. I noticed a trend here, not so much a trend, but just sort of like a thing I noticed. There are a lot of female booktubers, and I feel like we need to encourage the guys, you know, because there's a lot of like reading. I don't want to say it tends to be a female thing, but there tends to be more females, what am I saying? Women who talk about reading and talk about books. And, you know, I want to encourage the guys. So I'm going to tag Conan the Librarian and Dane Cobain. These are a couple of, you know, manly man booktubers out there. So I'm going to encourage you fellas to go ahead and do this hobby tag for yourself, because I have a feeling you guys have some strange hobbies. I don't know. It's just a sense I have here. So that was it for the hobby tag. Thank you so much to the Grape Jelly Library for tagging me in this one. That was really fun to put together. This is the Sci-Fi, no, it's not. It's not the Sci-Fi Library. It's Grape Jelly Library. This is the Sci Fi Bookery. I'm Josh. We'll see you next time.